How do we design our game? It helps to prototype your game first. We don't just sit down and start coding for the heck of it. And besides, if we create a multimedia application like a computer game, we need to draw graphics, we need to create sounds, and it's nice to have a way to quickly put something together that we can look at and allow our aesthetic feel to tell us whether it's good or not. Again, I'm not here to tell you which applications to use for your prototyping, for your level of design, but I'm going to show you a couple that I personally like. And these two applications are InkScape and Tiled Map Editor. InkScape is basically a graphics editor. It's good because it's vector-based and it's cross-platform. So you can run it on Mac, Windows, or Linux, and it's all the same. And what's more, it's free software. I find it most efficient to learn this application by following a course. There are many online courses, free and paid, and obviously you're welcome to use any if you want to use this tool, or use Photoshop, Manga Studio, or whatever else you are used to. The idea is that here we can create graphics, and in editors like this, we can specify dimensions of objects in pixels, for example. So we can create graphical elements of certain dimensions. And once you do this, well, you can zoom in, you can zoom out. You can create several versions of these game objects. We can put them together into a tile map set, and we can export it later as a PNG image. So you choose the name of the file and choose export, and that creates a PNG file. So what I've shared with you today in week 8 is a prototype tile map, which I have created for this project. It's called prototype.zip. And if you download it and unpack it, inside you will have 3 files: city JPEG, game squares PNG, and the tile map itself. Now, tile map is, you can open it with text editor, and that's basically an XML file. An XML file that specifies multiple layers. But one of the best ways to understand what tile map is to play with the editor. So the editor is called Tiled, and I've already mentioned it in my previous lectures. And it looks like this. Okay, I'm going to open this file. So that's what my prototype looks like. Tile map consists of multiple layers and tiles. So if you want to create a tile map from scratch, what you do, you create new map. And there is a couple of different kinds of maps that exist. You can have it hexadecimal, you can have a staggered, choose orthogonal. Orthogonal is basically a map made of squares. So choose orthogonal and choose the size of tiles. And for portability reasons, it makes sense to make tile size a power of 2. So in this case, I choose 32 by 32, but you can choose 16 by 16 or 64 by 64. And you specify size of the map, width 32 tiles and height 24 tiles. And it will also tell you what it is in pixels. And when you press save, it will ask you to give it a name. So when we create, all we have is just plain space filled with squares. And all it has is just the tile layer. Now, if you want to add a background, to go into layers, and you need to create new layer and choose image layer. Now you can move layers around. Layers further down, I believe they are farther away from the viewer. So on the left-hand side, you have a set of properties. Right now, image is not set, so I'm just going to click here and choose a file. So now our map has two layers, image layer, tile layer, and we can also add an object layer, which I explain shortly. In the tile layer, we create our map. And as the name suggests, it's made of tiles. So in order to use it, first you need to add a tile set. And when you add a tile set, it's based on an image or on a collection of images. And you just browse to an image. So that's what it looks like. It's made of 6 tiles, 3 by 2, and each tile is 32 pixels. That's what I created and exported from my InkScape editor. So here I select this file, I specify tile width, tile height, and that's it. So now I have tiles, and I can choose these tiles, and I can draw with them. And what I ended up is this map. So I'm just going to hide my object layer. That's what I created. So the image layer is the same. In the tile layer, I have used these beige squares to create the board. And then I used white and black tiles to mark where I would put my initial positions for the game pieces. So what are objects and why do we care about them? To understand that, we need to look more into this prototype file. Okay, open with text editor. In this XML file, you will see that first we have section with the parameters of the map: width, height, size of tiles, and so on. And after this, we have tile set, information about what PNG file is used as a source of tiles. And after this, we have different layers. So first we have image layer that specifies the picture and some additional data. And then we have tile layer. Well, here tile layer is compressed. It can be modified in the settings of the map, but basically it has an array of 32 by 24 positions, where digits specify what tile is used in this position. And further down, we have this object layer. Objects are interesting because they allow us to specify where game characters can be positioned. So object is basically a rectangle with a coordinate and the size. That's all it is. And in our program, once we load this tile map, we can draw it. So it'll show us the picture, it'll show us the tiles, and then we can query this map to determine X and Y coordinates for an object with a particular name. So here I chose to create individual objects for the initial location of each of the game pieces. And I specify where on this tile map I would place the reference point for the game piece. So I draw all game pieces in their initial configuration. And here each object maps the position of the reference point. So to create an object, you just choose insert rectangle, and then you select it. And then I think you also need to give it a name. And that's it. Then you save it, and it's automatically added to your file, which you can then query. So further down, there will be another section called test with X and Y coordinates. I'm going to stop at this point. I'll leave you to play with tile, to design your own game Okay, thank you. And if you have any questions, feel free to ask them in the chat or come to me now.